All right, I'm super excited. This is TM3 Impact, brought to you by Luxury Home Magazine with our amazing new cover. Super pumped about that. And Spanish Grove Academy, San Antonio's highest rated Spanish immersion school for pre-K. And today, oh my goodness, we've been working on schedules.
We've been working on schedules,
man. The moon's lined up, stars lined up.
Yeah.
I have J. Kuper in the building.
Thanks for having me. This is
Jay.
great. I'm glad I'm finally here. I've arrived.
Man,
finally.
I'm super pumped to have you here.
Me too. I'm glad to be here.
So first off, I want to say thank you because I was a Kuper agent. Most people don't know that.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
Thanks
And we've got to share some amazing times. And so I'm pumped to have you here in the TM3 studio. So we're going to dive right in, all right?
Let's do it.
Now, here's how I want to start. I want to go back.
Ooh, way back.
Now, I'm not talking about 2008.
Okay.
I want to go back. Jay Kuper as a kid, entrepreneurial, not entrepreneurial. Tell me Jay Kuper at 14, 15.
Okay. Yeah, Jay Kuper at 14 and 15 had some drive, I'd say. I started working really early as a kid. I was oldest of 5 kids. Okay. I feel like, hard work was always instilled. But actually, the truth of it is now, if I'm closing my eyes looking way back,
yeah,
I think the proposition from my parents was, if you want to buy things, you have to go get your own job to buy them. And that was a great proposition for me because I'm like, okay, well, everything else is paid for me. I don't have to buy my own food, or roofs over my head. So you're telling me I can go make money and buy whatever I want with it. Sounds really good. So, I started early working because I wanted that money to do things.
Yeah. So what was that first thing you wanted?
Ooh.
Yeah. You go back.
Yeah, I think so this is probably going to be lackluster. I think what I just wanted to be able to buy my own lunch.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's if you remember school lunch at all, there was all these frivolous things that you could buy if you had money to do them. And I wanted to buy whatever I wanted to buy at lunch and then after school, snacks and junk and who knows what. And then I realized after working even a little bit of work buys a lot of junk food.
Right.
A lot of snacks.
That's hilarious.
I love snacks, I guess.
Are you a sweet guy?
Yeah, I love sweets.
Okay, all right.
If you baked me a cake and put it right here, I'd eat the whole thing. I'd eat it. Yeah, I'd eat it. But I think it's more of maybe a freedom component. I just wanted to be able to do all that stuff, and I had opportunities to work at a pretty early age, and so even by 16, 14, 15, I was working for sure every day after school.
Okay, and what were you doing?
One of my first jobs actually was here in San Antonio.
Okay.
It was in the summer, and I worked at the Fink Cigar Factory downtown San Antonio, and I stuffed mail in the back room.
Really?
So back in the day, they legit made cigars, rolled cigars, and bundled them up in the factory. They don't do that anymore there, but they mailed out stuff all the time, and so I went in there and stuffed mail. So that was a full summer job, I think when I was 13.
Wow.
And then by the time I was in my 14, 15-year-old summers, I worked I was living in Houston and worked for the country club in Houston. Okay. And I shagged balls, and I was the guy driving the little golf cart buggy that all the kids were trying to hit the golf balls at.
Love it.
Yeah, I did that all summer because I could ride my bike there, work late, come early on Saturdays. Yeah. I loved it. It was some of the best time I've ever had.
So what was it about? Yes, you wanted to buy stuff, right?
Yeah.
But there had to be another component about this, what was driving you to want to work that much at 15, 16, 17, because you carried this on, although obviously even in high school.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time I didn't have a job and worked, whatever. So I think a lot of it was realizing that I could work, save, and then do something bigger with whatever I saved.
Okay.
And it actually is a curse because in a way you're like, okay, well, I got to this level, but now I've got this. I could get to this level now. Oh. And so there's some, it's a double-edged sword with all that.
Yeah.
But I think I realized hey, working hard and saving and doing gives more opportunities than when you don't. I think it's a missed lesson. You can't just blow all the money you've got, and you've got to prepare yourself for future. So I think I learned that at an early age, from that. But I think I just had a drive to do it. I like to work. I tell people that all the time, and people sometimes look at me cross-eyed, like, do you see your family and have any friends? I probably don't have any friends, but I get to see my family plenty, but I do like to work. I'm motivated by a challenge, and a problem to solve. So anyway, I like to work. I mean,
that's cool.
There's a lot of fun in that for me.
Which makes sense because obviously we're going to get to where you are today.
Yeah.
Right? That totally makes sense.
Yep.
So I'm interested, do you think it was the money that was motivating you or the freedom that money provided when you were younger?
For sure, the freedom the money provided. And one thing I'll think, too, I don't think I've ever looked at this introspectively. So this is maybe going to be like the psychology couch you put me on.
Yes.
But I think part of it is like I was not the best student. Like I didn't really like school ever. Like and I never really felt like I learned a lot out of school, and that wasn't anybody's fault other than my own for the most part. But I felt like I was accomplishing something by working, and I learned a lot by working. And so I felt like where school might have been a struggle or I just didn't like it, the work component was like I loved it.
Right.
And so, yeah, there was never like I need to make trillions of dollars. It was like I liked to be able to do the things with the money that allowed me to do that. I mean, my wife tells me that still all the time. Like, you just want to be able to buy what you want to buy. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true.
Well, I mean, but that's the result. That love of work and love of challenges. Okay, so now we're gonna fast forward now. So you go to TCU.
Yep. Go Frogs.
Yep. Go Frogs.
Yeah.
How did you do there? I mean, was that something you were passionate about school, or were you still in your mind thinking, I got to do this, but man, I really have something. Were you working while you're in college?
Oh yeah, I worked all 4 years of college, and it was the same thing as high school, elementary school, whatever. Like I loved being at TCU. It's incredibly academically challenging school, great school. Yeah. And there were some classes that really I got turned on to in college. But, I tried to be a business major, ended up loving things like in the communications department, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, my favorite class, I'd never done argumentation and debate until college. Okay. And I took a debate course in school, fell in love with that.
Oh, snap.
And then I did every bit of public speaking coursework you could do and loved that.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and loved that.
Yeah.
People underestimate, too, the ability to communicate. I mean, I'm not even really that great of a communicator, but if I hadn't had any coaching from TCU, it probably would have been a problem. Yeah. But I love those things. At the same time, I worked all through college. Okay. So first I worked actually for the Radio Shack corporate office, was in Fort Worth. So Radio Shack doesn't exist anymore, I don't think.
I haven't seen one.
But back in the day, their headquarters was in Fort Worth. So I'd go to their corporate office, and I was an intern there, and I just did all kinds of things, mostly technically related, actually, which was a lot of fun for me. But then by my junior year, I worked for a software startup that was in North Texas, and I interned there. What I knew then is I most likely wasn't going to get hired out of college because of my GPA. So I better take an internship. I better take an internship where they might want to hire me after. Right. And that's just what happened. I worked there for 2 years, worked like crazy. I mean, I would leave class, drive to work, and let's say that was at noon, and I'd work till 8 o'clock at night or whatever. Wow. It was a really fun environment. I mean, tech startup, everybody just like in there grinding hard, trying to make this company go, and we did, and it was like a lot of young, fun energy. So I loved it, got paid to do it, helped pay for college, do all these things. So again, it was the same theme. Like it was challenging but fun. I feel like I really fit there. Where school was great and there was these classes that I liked, but I had other friends I feel like just like it was their jam, school. And it just never was for me.
Yeah.
But the work part was, and I was like good at it. And there was, we all want to do things we're good at. There's no doubt about it. I mean, that's what you're doing. You're good at this.
Yeah.
You're good at a lot of things you do. I just like being, it's fun to be good at whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah. That's killer. Okay. So now you graduate.
Yep.
And right out of school, you were at the startup.
Yep.
You went there. How long were you at the startup?
3 years.
Did they get it off the ground? Were they able to kick it off? Like, what was what was finally the outcome?
When I left there, I think eventually they were essentially acquired. They were cool. This is a cool story. The company essentially invented the App Store. So I know your beloved, Apple products. You think they invented the App Store?
Yes.
This company really did. The company was called Handango, not to be confused with Fandango.
Handango.
Yeah, and Handango essentially. Remember Palm Pilots?
Of course.
The old Palm 3?
I had one.
You had one, right?
Yes.
So back in the day, to buy an app, they didn't even call them apps, but to buy an app for a Palm Pilot, you had to go to some web developer's website,
and
download it, sync it on the cradle, all this stuff. And any app you wanted, you had to go to somebody else's website. You know, like buying buying any other software.
Yes.
the guy that started the company is really smart. He's like, look, you've got all these software vendors are all over the place. There's no central place to buy them. So he created Handango, and all those vendors came, all those software guys came there, put their products there, and he resold them.
Yeah.
And then he ended up selling them to, like if you were Sprint or you were Palm, like they would brand their own app stores within their own devices and stuff. It was borderline ahead of its time, but like they made great inroads. I mean, it was a really fantastic company, great people that worked there. I mean, it was a solid place to be.
That's killer.
Yeah, so they did really well.
All right, so so going from that, and then you were at Meritage.
Yeah, yep.
So, and then obviously that kind of started this construction world.
Yeah.
So how do you go, like, how did you even end up in that construction world?
Yeah, one of my best friend's older brothers worked for Meritage Homes.
Okay.
It was Legacy at the time. It was Legacy Homes, and then Meritage bought them, which is a whole nother fun part of that story. But anyway, he calls me one day and says, well, actually, my friend's brother called his brother and said, hey, look, you need to help find me some of your friends because the construction business in North Texas is just blowing up.
Yep.
And we need people in the field managing these projects. Yeah. So he calls me and says, hey, Jay, you want to do this? I'm like, no, not really. I love what I'm doing now.
And because you were at Handango,
I was at
right?
Handango, killing it, loving it.
Yeah.
But essentially, his pitch was you can make 2 times the money you're making at Handango doing this.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'd done a great job at Handango and like had that part of my career. I loved it, loved all those people.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, I can always do this thing. I've built this skill set. But, you know, I had an interest in construction development. Obviously, you've got a family real estate business. So I'm like, I'd love to know this deal. So you're telling me it's going to pay well.
Yeah.
I get to wear jeans and boots and get dirty every day, probably walking around looking at properties and construction. Yeah. That sounded pretty good. And so that's just what I did.
Wow.
And really excelled there. I was a superintendent and project manager and loved it. I remember the first day.
Oh, my God. I did not know this story.
Oh, yeah. I showed up. I remember when I went in for the interview, I wore like suit and tie.
Yeah.
And the guy interviewing me is like, oh, you must be here for like a sales job.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. A superintendent. He's
right.
like, no, I don't think this is what you want to do. I'm like, no, this is what I want to do.
Yes.
And he interviewed me and he's like, okay, I guess if you want to do this, let's go. And I did.
Like, but by the way, don't show up in a suit.
Don't show up in a suit. Don't do that. Yeah, I learned real quick the wardrobe change. I had to change wardrobe. But yeah, I loved it. And I loved that job.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved it. Like being out in the field was great for me. And I had the best time with that.
Now, I could imagine, you know, because of where you are now, customer service, right? It's taking care of your agents, taking care of the clients. I would imagine in that you learned customer service.
Yep.
Like that's where the kind of the foundation
of
where it started, right? I mean,
100%.
Yeah.
And actually, I think that's what made me good at it. Like I really excelled in that position. Like I didn't have a construction background, but it was project management and customer service, just like you're saying. Yeah. And I found, I mean, I think this is an obvious observation, but most people weren't doing the same thing. If I really catered to the client, like our Meritage client, and they knew I cared about them and I wanted to build the best house for them and I was like focused on it.
Yeah.
I built them faster. They accepted them more quickly, and like the process was smoother. Versus like I had some colleagues that nobody was really bad, but like that wasn't their main focus necessarily. Right. And like so, I was excelling in like how quickly I was doing all these things and the satisfaction rate of the clients, and so I was getting great comp for all that stuff. And so it was just good business to have good customer service. But to your point, it is a hard business, just like the brokerage, the business that I'm in is hard. Yeah. And to keep people happy in that business was not easy. So learning how to take some lashings every once in a while was important too. Yeah. Yeah, because there's plenty of that in that business.
Now, I heard you say this in another interview.
Okay.
And I think, and maybe you learned it back then.
Okay.
But you said you can never over communicate.
Yeah, no, that's true. 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
And when I heard you say that, I was like, I need to bring that up.
Yeah.
Because that works in real estate and with what you were doing.
Yep. If you've got a client that's like dependent upon you for something, or you know, you communicating heavily with them is I've never experienced a time where somebody said, please don't call me and give me an update.
Right.
Like whether I'm selling real estate or we were building real estate at the time, if I called somebody 3 times a day, they would accept the call and be happy I called them. Yeah. Now, I didn't do that. I didn't call people 3 times a day, but it works now in our business now. Like, if you're listing a house with us, you know, people want to know like what's going on, and people hate silence.
They do.
You know, we're going to talk pretty steady this whole thing. We're not going to be pausing, because if we did, everybody would be like, I'm cutting off, because people hate silence, but they hate it especially in communication. So yeah, I just don't think you can over communicate.
Yeah.
It's hard though when you're delivering the service to communicate as much as people want them to.
Yeah.
So there's some technology that I think makes that easier, but
True.
People want to hear your voice. I think actually the thing I said before is the important part. People just want to know you care about what's going on. Like when it relates to them, you're providing this service. They want you to know. They want to know that you care about it. And I want that when I'm getting service too.
Yeah.
So anyway, I probably doing that at Meritage Homes was a big help.
That was a big help.
Yeah.
So you go from there, start a construction business. How long were you at Meritage?
I did Meritage, I think, 4 years.
And then that rolled
5
right
years
into
almost.
a construction business?
Yep, I started a construction business of my own, essentially, and that's when I moved from North Texas to San Antonio.
Okay.
Yep, and started Kuper Construction. I think I'm maybe overly concerned with my own name being in the title of things.
That's okay.
I'm trying to get away from that, but started Kuper Construction, but it was 2008. So there was a recession on. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot to build.
Were you more commercial or residential?
Commercial.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
got
So
it.
and actually, I did skip a step. I left Meritage and worked for a really great boutique commercial firm up in North Texas called Fort Construction. Same sort of thing. Got incredible experience. The leaders of that company were amazing, tenured, experienced guys.
Yeah.
And had a lot of fun with that. So I loved commercial construction. Just construction in general, I loved.
Yeah.
But the whole construction and development industry, I really liked. And so Rachel and I, my wife and I, were like, where do we live? What do we do long term? We want to start having a family. We want to be closer to family. And we're like, let's just move, be closer to family, and start a construction business. And I did. And I mean, it was a blessing to me. I had some things to build that paid the bills, but it was not very much work, because there was a lot of competition in 2008. If you were building stuff in Texas, there were general contractors and contractors bidding on work in San Antonio from everywhere, every part of the country. So it was really hard to be in the construction business then.
And I'm sure that the recession part didn't really, help, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're going through it. You can't get money, and money's hard and stuff. And I could imagine that was
tough. Yeah,
that was tough as well.
So I had fun with it. It built some great projects, but it wasn't enough to make it sustainable. But then again, it was trucking along. Yeah. I just kind of like collided paths with the brokerage. Almost by happenstance with lunch with my dad one day.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a lot going on for construction, so I had plenty of time to help with the brokerage on some level. And one thing led to another, and now I'm in the brokerage business.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just kind of good circumstance all around.
Now, I heard you say, I'm curious, like real estate, you were just like, I don't know if this is true, correct me.
Yeah.
But you're like, I do not want to be in the real estate business.
It's the only thing I said in my life I would never do.
Is that true?
It's 100%
Really?
true. If you're asking about 14-year-old Jay, by the time I was 14, 15, 16, for sure, I'm like, it's nothing against the business.
Yeah.
It's just like it's my family's in that business. I'm used to everybody being in it. And it's a time-consuming business. I mean, I think most people probably gather how much work it takes to be a successful real estate agent or broker, but it's a lot. It's a lifestyle of committing to 24/7, being on call, holidays, weekends, whichever. And we say this a lot in real estate, but especially for people listening maybe who don't know. I mean, like, you're essentially available when other people are on vacation or off. People's
So
off
true.
time is our on time.
That's right.
And that's a tough pill to swallow. So I'm probably just disenfranchised with the whole idea of the brokerage business. I'm like, probably the only thing I'm not going to do in my life is sell real estate. I'm going to find something else that I'll probably do and like. And I've always liked technology and like, I'm like, I'll probably do something along those lines. Yep. But, once again, never say never.
Never say never. That's right.
Yeah.
So now this is a thing that I think, that I think people need to understand. So, coming into the business, you've seen it your whole life. You're walking in, and I will tell you, I was there kind of in that very beginning process, and I just remember the energy that you brought into the room.
Yeah.
Right? Like anybody that knows you, all the agents that are going to hear this, they're going to know that you bring a presence when you walk in the room, and a lot of it is just as genuine. I care. It's like that. I look in the eye and I care.
Yeah.
And so where did that come from, Jay?
Oh, I think I've just been surrounded by really great people. Like, I mean, my parents are both like caring, genuine people. Nobody's ever met my dad and then say, Rick Kuper's, not the nicest guy
true.
in the world, a
Yeah.
genuine guy. My mother's the same way. My grandmother's that way.
Yeah.
I've had great mentors that were that way. So it's a great way to be. Honestly, like to be positive and caring is like makes me feel better anyway. And
Right.
to go a different way wouldn't make sense to me. And
Right.
I think I kind of am pre-caffeinated every morning. I don't drink coffee. I'm already kind of fired up when I
You're ready
wake
to go.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wake up early. I'm ready to go. So yeah, I think I'm just kind of predisposed to it. I don't have to like work at it necessarily, but I think it's just because of maybe how I was raised, like just the people that have always been
It's
around
a
me.
mindset too.
That's true.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
like you have it in your mind that when you're walking in the room,
Yeah.
you're the spark, right? Like
Yep.
and you don't have to go, okay, now let me turn it on. It's just
Yep.
it's who you are,
Yep.
which is awesome.
Yeah, I think one of the things I think I learned that even my mother coached me on early was I'm going to do this a disservice. Not being positive was not the right thing,
Okay.
but like I would listen to motivational tapes as a kid.
Get outta
on
here.
cassette tapes.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, tell me who do you remember from those cassette tapes?
Okay, so
Give me a name.
Zig Ziglar.
Oh,
yeah.
my goodness,
So
yes.
Zig, one of Zig's early things, I remember this vividly. He was talking about the classic exchange with somebody who is about to miss a flight,
Okay.
and the flight and there's somebody who's working the cash or the attendant
Yep,
there.
yep.
And most people are predisposed to go yell at that person.
Yeah.
And he talked about, he said, look, you yelling at that person's not going to make any difference. And being positive, helping that person, that's probably your best shot actually at getting what you want out of the scenario. But at a minimum, you being worked up and all frothy is just going to make you worse. Like it's just going to take you down. I've always lived with that one.
Yep.
Like making sure you're thankful for people that are helping you too. Like both sides of the service equation work. Like you got to be thankful for people giving you service too.
That's right.
People give better service if you're thankful for it. I've noticed that forever. So
That's very true.
But Mom had me on Zig somehow real early, and I love that. I mean, I burnt his tapes up. I mean,
Yep.
I had one of those yellow Walkmans,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
used to listen to Zig Ziglar all the time.
Yeah. Any Les Brown? Did she get
No,
her to
I didn't have Les
No?
Brown.
No?
I think Zig was my primary.
Brian Tracy?
No.
No? Okay,
no.
Zig Ziglar.
Mostly
That's
Zig.
awesome.
I can't even remember when that started or how long I listened to Zig tapes, but
How did she get a hold of it? How did she hear about Zig?
no idea.
Yeah?
No idea.
'Cause she-
Now I'm going to ask
Did
her.
she run a business? I mean, did she just happen to like...
My mom worked. She didn't run her own business. She does now, but she worked for like law firms and CPAs when I grew
Okay.
up. So she was in a professional environment. Maybe that was where it was
Yeah.
from. So maybe from work that
She got
somehow
the
got
tape.
distributed.
Yep.
But yeah, I remember burning those tapes up, listening to Zig. Zig's always thing was you could help enough other people. You can have anything like life that you want if you help enough other people get what they want. And I
So
like
true.
that. I think it is true. If you're just trying to figure out how to work it out for yourself, it's probably not going to work out so well.
Yeah. It's just that selfish mentality doesn't. It's got I call it like the matchstick, right?
Yeah.
It'll fire up for a while, and you may get something temporarily,
Yeah.
but that fame will flame out really quickly
Yeah,
if
yeah,
it's
yeah.
only about you. It's
Yeah,
got to
yeah.
be about other people. Okay, so now brokerage is it 1.5 billion?
We're going for $2 billion this year.
$2
Last
billion.
year we were at 1.7.
Yeah.
And we're gunning for 2. But honestly, I set that as like this kind of lightweight benchmark. You know,
Yeah.
like we're not trying to get to some volume level
Right.
for volume level's sake.
Right.
I'm really pretty vocal that we're not trying to hire 1 million agents. Like
Yeah.
we want to be really excellent at what we're doing, which is a cliche thing to say.
Yeah.
But conversely, in this brokerage business, I feel like it's this big race to have 1 million agents and
Yeah.
trillions of dollars in sales. We want to be meaningful in the amount of volume we do in the city, simply because success builds success. Momentum is a business process that I work through all the time. Like momentum is real deal in business.
Yes, it
like
is.
you got to get it, and then you got to maintain it.
Yeah.
But for me, like getting to certain like sales benchmarks is really because if I know I can cover certain market share in San Antonio, Austin, Bernie, New Braunfels, wherever we are, that leads to more sales. It makes the lives of our agents easier. And so I don't want too much. I don't want like 100% of a neighborhood to sell out. That
Right.
doesn't actually work very well.
Right.
So, we want a certain amount of market share in every kind of market and submarket we're in, and that kind of correlates to volume in a way. So I set those benchmarks to make sure we're growing and doing, because there's only one way you can go.
Yeah.
If you're declining, if you're leveling out, you're on your way down. So we're pushing all the time to be better. But we've had tremendous growth over the last 5 years especially, but 10 years that I've been around in the business.
So you cover brokerages in Austin and in San Antonio. Where are you seeing the biggest growth right now?
For the company, or just like by the market?
Yeah, market, or even market, Austin or San Antonio.
Austin has just been ridiculous in its growth. People just move. I'm still always amazed. People move borderline sight unseen to Austin.
Really?
It's like, God, this place, it's like the land of milk and honey. There's just fun to be had and opportunities to be had. And we work with people all the time that are like, we don't have a job yet. We're just going to move. We worked with a young couple the other day. They just said, we just got married. We're going to move to Austin and see what we can figure out. We're going to be flexible on what we do. I've got a background in XYZ. And they weren't coming to work for me. I encountered them. And to me, that's crazy.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, from my experience, even with like working since 13 years old, like I've never not had a job. And that actually never was like an opportunity. Like I always thought, like, once I started, I couldn't stop.
Exactly.
Like taking some time off wasn't an option.
Yeah.
But people will move there sight unseen. So it's for sure seen like the most price kind of increases and overall appreciation in that market. Yeah. But San Antonio still, you can't beat San Antonio because it's Steady Eddie makes it seem too mundane. Like there's so much vibrance in this community, but it's also not like overinflated. So there's just a huge amount of value to San Antonio. So they're two totally different markets, but we've enjoyed being part of the community in both of them. And honestly, like Bernie and New Braunfels are just the same kind of concept. Like New Braunfels is this very vibrant community that's gone through this crazy transition over the last 5 years even, and we love being a part of that community. And I live actually in Bernie, and so being part of that, everything that's going on there is a lot of fun too. So we take the responsibility seriously. Like what we do in our profession is like we're kind of the front face of most communities. Yeah. Whether those communities like it or not, one way or another, like we're that. And so I think we represent our communities really well. Yeah. But it's Austin for sure probably takes the cake of just most expansion, most change overall in the market.
It would almost, Houston kind of led the way, right? You're from Houston. Houston led the way in luxury for many years, right? Yeah. But when you start looking, the last time I looked at the numbers, Austin, the number of $1 million homes sold, the numbers are pretty crazy, especially when you look at the population.
Yeah, no doubt. I heard from a broker, well, this is several months ago, but she made the comment, she said, we should just take $1 million properties or below are not luxury properties. Because there's so many $1 million properties that like that shouldn't be considered luxury anymore. Wow. The day we got into Austin, I'll never forget this. The day we got into Austin when we started the franchise there, that day there were 40 properties in San Antonio listed at above $1 million. Okay, yeah. And in Austin, it was over 675 were listed over $1 million. And that gap continues to grow.
It's still,
Yeah, there's whole communities in Austin that are built over $1.5 million. That just doesn't happen in San Antonio, but that's also kind of indicative of like what the people of those communities want. Like San Antonio is not really gunning for that as hard by any means, but Austin it is. People are coming from all over the world practically to live in Austin, and we get a great global community here. But it's like a different kind of vibe.
It's a different animal. Yeah, it's true. That is very true.
I think both communities are getting what they want for the most part. You know what I mean? Like
it's true.
You're going to live in one place or the other depending on which lifestyle you really like.
Yeah, what you want.
Yeah.
So from a perspective of real estate success, because Kuper Sotheby's has done an amazing job. You have some amazing agents. Yeah. Right? So I'm curious, over the last 5-7 years, that you've been kind of seeing this and seeing Austin, what would you say are the 1, 2, 3 things that you see consistently that is making these agents literally the best at what they do?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. Actually, I think I could answer that pretty well. Top 3 things. First one I'll say, I don't think this will be in a particular order, so don't hold it to the order of importance. But one of the things I harp on a lot lately is people define customer service in all these different ways, but I'll try to be better about the definition in the real estate space. The agents that we have that do the best are extending themselves in a level of service that is really like, I think other people who are in the business can't even really comprehend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm just thinking about like Gary and Michelle Dolcher on the cover of this, or Ben Kahn, here, Kumar Wilk. We've got so many great agents, but when I think about their what's collectively making them look good, or making them good, when I'm talking to them and what they're doing for the day, it's way above and beyond helping their clients than other people are used to.
Yeah.
So
true.
So while on some level this industry gets a bad rap for, if you're going to have an agent, they're going to take a picture of your house with an iPhone and they're going to put in the MLS and then that's it. The agents we have, and really this is a vast majority of our team, if not almost everybody, because we've got a pretty high standard. Everything is over the top on what they're going to deliver, from marketing support, service support, back to communication. Our agents are used to calling their clients very frequently, or staying in communication with them about what's going on. So that's for sure a key differentiator. I think success too for our agents is probably having some level of a game plan.
Yes.
Yeah. So I did a top producer panel even this last week, or is this week? Yeah, this week. And I said, what do you do for listing presentation, and what do you do for prep, and how are you communicating and doing? Not everybody does it the same. I learned that real quick. Like, everybody does things differently, but our agents, I think the ones that are really doing the best are planning on some level. This is what I want to hit. These are the goals I want to have. And they think of it like a business. I mean, there's some other, for sure, well-known brokerages that focus on like business planning and how to help an agent. But our top producers for sure are treating this for sure as a profession. And, they have office time and they have marketing time, and they're, focusing on how to build their business. So for sure that's huge. I think maybe the other mentality is that while they have balance for themselves in their lives, they also know when they have to turn it on and when coasting is acceptable. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I've seen it for years that I'm always amazed somebody in this business, this is not to pick,
but
but people in this business will have a sale, right? They'll finally make a sale, because to make a sale is hard, right? So they're grinding on a sale. They get it done. They get some money in the bank, and what do? Like, I owe it to myself to take some time off, because there's so much pushing at us that, like, you need to have balance, and you need to do you, and you need to take a break. I'm just here to tell you, for our agents that do really well for themselves, that is not how they operate. As a matter of fact, when they do well, it's only the platform to do even better. So they double down, hammer down, and then for sure they take time for themselves and their families and all that, but they don't miss the opportunity to push harder. But that other death cycle of, I finally did it, I'm tired now, so I'm going to take a break, and they coast back down to having to work harder. I mean, our folks like learn how to have momentum, and I've seen that a bunch. Our best agents don't let off the gas at the wrong time. They push hard.
I love that. So the 3 are customer service. Have a stinking plan.
Have a plan. Have a plan.
That could be, and like I heard on the other interview, a marketing plan. Like, actually know what you're going to do prior to getting the listing.
That's right.
I think that's beautiful. And then understanding that you can't let your feet off the gas. You can't let your foot off the gas. Like, even when you have a win, the top agents, and that's what, it's always funny because we go to the Business Journal Awards, and it's the same, top 10, right? Every year. Why is that? They don't take their foot off the gas.
They don't
You're
take their foot off the gas.
Right. You're
well,
exactly
there's
right.
Our top producer in San Antonio, Ben Consineroglu, amazing guy. I was inspired by him early. I mean, he makes me want to work harder, but I think he's changed all his passwords by now, so hopefully I'm not broadcasting this for everybody, and he's going to have to go change this. But I remember one time somehow I had to know what his password was for something, and he's like, Jay, type it in. My password is work hard.
Work hard.
And I mean, the guy lives by that today. Like he's so an animal. He pushes so hard. You work out with him. You know how hard that guy pushes.
Let me just tell you, we run before boxing. And this guy yesterday nearly killed all of us. It was me, Smystrela, and Nate and Nathan. And we're all running. And this dude is literally running at a 7-minute mile pace, almost under 8 minutes.
Crushing it.
Yes, and I'm just like, Binkan,
we still have to work out.
We still got to do a workout. He definitely gets it. Cool story. I remember doing this one listing appointment
Yeah.
with Bincon.
Yeah, yeah.
This was right before the transition when LHM with the magazine.
Yeah.
Bincon goes to the meeting and he says, listen, I'll come back and help you paint that. We have to paint that.
Yes.
And he says, I'll be here this weekend. I'll bring shorts, but we have to repaint that.
Yep.
And he did it.
And he did it.
I
Yeah,
mean, like,
yeah,
I
amazing.
remember sitting there like, hey, I can't paint.
Yeah. Well, see, now
But
Bincon,
that was Bincon.
yeah, he does that still to this day, but
Yeah.
now he hires people to paint because he's doing this for a
Right.
bunch of properties. But yeah, the level of detail is there. But again, like that's a common thread amongst our best and brightest is going to that level that's this combination of working hard, giving great service, and just hammering down. But so anyway, I love that thing with Bincon still, like work hard is his password, because I'm like, man, what a great way to remind yourself all day that's what you got to do.
That's killer.
Yeah.
Okay, so listen, we're gonna land this because
Okay.
we both, I know we both have things we got to jump to. But first and foremost, I want to say thank you. 'Cause
Yeah, my pleasure.
This has been really, really good, and I appreciate you being open and kind of talking about the early J.
Yeah, the early J is a crazy J.
I
but
think
yeah.
the early J is really, I mean, think about it. The Zig Ziglar.
How about
I mean,
Zig?
how the connection.
Yeah.
If anybody listens to Zig Ziglar today,
Yep.
they're going to immediately remind, especially people who've never heard this,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They don't know that about you.
Yeah.
They're going to hear something and they're going to look at you and go,
Yeah, Zig taught
I
you that.
see it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I see it.
That's
So
probably true. I literally am gonna go dust those off. And I haven't
Dust them
listened
off.
to Zig since I was that age.
Yeah.
So I probably will, but man, yeah, we're shaped at a young age, right? So
We
I
are.
guarantee you there's plenty of stuff that he laid down that I probably still do to this day.
Yes.
Exactly. But
That's
yeah,
killer.
Yeah.
All right, so here's, I guess the last part of this is I'm a fan of Tim Ferriss.
Okay.
He wrote a book
Yep.
called Tribe of Mentors.
Okay.
And he sent 11 questions to the top of all their professions, and then everybody kind of responded back to this questionnaire, and then he
Okay.
put it all in a book.
Cool.
All right, and so it's like, hey, here's your tribe of mentors. The book is literally like 3 inches thick. It's
Wow.
huge, right? And so he asked all kinds of different questions, and Gabe and I were like, what should we ask? What should we ask? And this is, I think I like this one because
Okay.
knowing, I know a little bit about, you and kind of some of the things you like. So here's a question. And he didn't know this question before. So here you go. You ready?
Okay.
So in the last 5 years,
Okay.
what habit or behavior has completely transformed or improved your life?
Ooh, I like that. Habit or behavior that's changed my life. Especially within the last 5 years. I'm going to have to go with low-hanging fruit on this
Okay,
one.
that's okay.
So I think starting earlier in the day is the thing that's changed my life for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot that goes on in like the days that I have. I'm like self-diagnosed ADD. I run around real hard. Focusing is difficult for me.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going to sit and focus on how to do things, but actually my role for my company is actually to be focused, disciplined, look at the future, figure out what our plan is. Normally I like to be spontaneous and just go, but I have to just stop and focus. So me actually getting up before I think almost anybody else, maybe not you and Bincon because you're working out like way too early, but waking up early, having some focused, dedicated time to be able to do the things I need to do, for sure has been life-changing because especially the first, let's say that I've been doing this 10 years. I think that's a little stretch. I think it's been closer to 8 or 9, but let's just break it up into halves.
Okay.
If it was like 10 years ago up until 5, I'm just like, I would wake up early probably, but I'm just like tackling whatever fire I can do.
Yeah.
And we made a lot of progress with that method.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just brute, almost aggression.
Yep.
Took us pretty far, took me pretty far. But now, like to take it to the level that we are at now and where we're going just requires me to be focused. And it's not something I'm kind of predisposed to.
Yeah.
So being able to like set some time aside for myself and do that really works. Right now, most people don't even know this, except unless you are in our Bernie office, you don't know this.
Okay.
But I have a secret office in Bernie that's like actually the office we're in right now. Has no windows.
Yeah.
It's very, very dark.
Yeah.
And nobody has access to get into it. Nobody even knows that I'm in it most of the time. So I can go in there, I close the door, and I have typically like 3, 4, 5 hours sometimes to myself, and then I can have a full work day after that.
Yeah.
But I'd say if I thought more, there's probably others I could add, but that's the first that comes to my mind. Like,
So what time we talking? When do you like to get up?
I like to get up by 5:30,
Okay.
5:30,
Yeah.
and be out of the door by 6. you
Okay.
know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because my phone's not going to ring at 6.
That's right.
Like, because of the business we do, I'll get calls from both coasts.
Yeah.
We've got friends, colleagues, clients that are on both coasts. So it'll start pretty early, but nobody's up that early.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I hate mornings normally. I don't like to wake myself up.
Yeah.
I love to sleep. My bed's very comfortable.
Yes.
But when I'm up, it's the best.
Yeah.
It's the mornings can be the best. Yeah. So I like being up and out and doing stuff before the day can get away from me.
Working out too early, or do you like to do it later? Because some people like it later.
I like it later. So my workouts are now in the afternoon, evening, because it's something to kind of cap my day off. I'm predisposed to working forever, like 24/7.
You could just keep going.
Yeah, because especially if I'm getting in the zone, like we're getting stuff done. I'll never stop. Yeah. And so I've got like 4 beautiful children that I love to be around, and they are my priority. I mean, they're the reason, actually, I feel like I've got this edge almost in life, even with them and my wife, because I feel like I've accomplished everything I want to accomplish in life with them. Like I've got what I want.
That's
and
cool.
So the rest of this is like just gravy, icing, whatever you want to look at it. Yeah. They make it real easy just to like, there's no milestone I'm not hitting. I'm hitting the milestone I want to hit. Yeah. And the rest of these things are just fun to do. Yeah. So anyway, like I want to be around them so I can work out in the afternoon, the evening really. Yeah. And then I've got a hard stop to work. I make sure I do a workout that is mind numbing. So I have to shut everything out. Yep. I work out hard enough to where I can't think about whatever it is I need to think about.
Yep.
And then my mind's fairly clear. I go back to the house and have a big time with the fam. And they go to bed. I might work some more, but it's, it's worked out pretty well for me to have that kind of cadence in the day.
That's killer.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I thoroughly enjoyed this.
Yeah,
day.
thanks for having me on.
Man, I
thanks
really
for being patient with me.
No, there's no pain. No, not at all. We're busy. I mean, this is just life that we have and working. But I really appreciate you sharing, your story, sharing kind of how you came to this point. Yeah. And I'm excited to see the future.
Thanks, man.
Because we're going to be working side by side for the next, 10, 20, 30. Like, hey, let's shoot for 50.
Let's go 50. Yeah. I'm not stopping.
What's happening. Hey, there's no reason to stop.
There's no reason to stop. My grandmother's in the office today. I won't disclose her age on this podcast.
Be careful.
But she's in there doing something awesome right now. I promise you. So I think the genes are strong. I don't think you're going to see me slowing down anytime soon.
That's killer.
I'm 38 now. I think I've got some running room.
Anything on that you're working on or towards right now that you're like, man, I got to let people know this is something that's coming up. Be ready.
I think the overall, what we've done from a brokerage standpoint and some of the partnerships we've taken on lately, we've done this partnership with Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union. I know that was probably scary, dangerous, confusing to some, but what we've already done with it, Tomas, unbelievable stuff. And we have just started. And again, I still see it in the market all the time. People, it's hard to comprehend what's going on.
Right.
But just keep holding on tight. What we've already done is pretty tremendous. And some of that will come out by the end of the year, too, on what we've accomplished. But it's just the beginning of what's capable. Those guys are absolutely incredible group of people, leaders, men and women that are in their executive team. Unbelievable. So it's empowered us to do even more things. So you combine that with the energy we've already got, the resources we already have. It's been kind of a match made in heaven. I think it's really good.
That's killer.
I was really honored this year. I got nominated for the C-Suite Awards with the Business Journal.
Yeah.
So I'm a happy recipient of that. But so was Chris O'Connor, who's the CEO for Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union.
That's cool.
So we're both receiving some accolades in a few weeks, I think. But I'm more honored about anything just to be in the same kind of category with him. I don't deserve to be in the same category as him, but I'll take it for the night.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, the power we've got, it's like supercharging an engine. We've had a lot of fun with it. Yes. Our agents have had a lot of benefits because of it. Our clients have benefited a lot from it, and it'll be I think a bigger source of conversation in the industry as we go along. I think more people will want to do what we've done long term.
Right.
So just hold on tight for that.
And that also comes with there's a bigger picture that not everybody, they're not seeing the picture that you see.
Yeah.
And some people, San Antonio's that small. We still have that small town mentality.
Yeah.
And this is going on all across the country in markets all over.
Yeah.
But we still have that small town down like, oh my gosh, what are they doing?
Yeah. No, it's a good point.
It's interesting.
Well, especially
right?
in other industries, things like that we're doing are much more prolific. And like real estate, it doesn't exist. But like, why not do it in real estate too?
Exactly.
If it's the right thing to do, if it's worked well in other industries and we can apply it to this one. I mean, people that I look up to in this industry. Yeah. Typically are the ones that are like pulling technologies or processes or whatever out of other businesses and applying them to real estate.
Yep.
There's some great brokers that are competitors of mine, but I respect heavily because of they do that really well. So this is my attempt to do something similar. And again, it has far surpassed what I thought it could do in a very short amount of time. Yeah,
that's very
That's
cool.
the thing. I don't think everybody has seen even the impact that it's caused. It's one of those things like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that had happened. Yeah. So anyway, we'll deliver some cool stuff over the next year.
Yeah. Well, listen, thank you again, Jay.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Super appreciate you being on TM3
Always.
Impact, my friend.
You got it.
And you guys stay tuned. You'll be able to see this on YouTube. Well, you don't have an iPhone. We got to work on that.
Can we get it on Android?
We can get it on Android. Yes. We have it on SoundCloud. What else, Gabe? You can catch this on SoundCloud.
I love this.
Pretty much any podcast, anything.
Cool.
You'll find us.
Right
so
on.
please look it up and share. And thank you for being on the show.
You got it. My
Take
pleasure.
care.
Thank you.